Morning, guys. It's Max. How's everybody doing this morning? Hope everyone's doing well. All right, let's start with the Altiverse, then go to the LFG verse, LFGY verse. Okay, here's the Alti grid. Actually, right here, here's the Alti allocations. I thought this was interesting. On this one, money market's down to 4% and cash is down to looks like 3.5 or so. So about 7% total. They put ISRG, which was a new one, to work yesterday. I didn't notice any new ones in here. I think they're all the same as yesterday. So in any event, now let's go to the Altiverse. Here is the Altiverse. Okay, the average, gosh darn it, what is this doing up here? The average constituent in the Altiverse is up 1.48%, whereas Alti itself is up 0.34%. You can see pretty much everything's doing well today. The market's face ripping right now. All right, let's go over to LFGY. XYZ is square or block, of course. Here's the current allocation. Look at this. Money market is 0. And I looked to make sure that wasn't a mess up on my part, but that's exactly what it shows right here. Money market, First American Guarantee, or whatever that says, 0.00%. So now let's go to the LFGY verse. This is how much stocks are up or down. And I think that's broken, of course. I hate my freaking technology. I got so much stuff. I hate these spreadsheets. There's no way they're just terrible. This is, oh gosh. I'm just not a spreadsheet guy. Anyway, thanks for those of you that are watching, though. LFGY up a point, average constituent down 1.2%, and that's because of BitDeer. I knew I didn't like that company. I'm just joking. I had no idea. Anyway, everything's down today in this business. The only things that are up are NU and NVIDIA. Okay, so that's the LFGY verse. Now let's go to the index buffer report. I've already checked FIRS. It's not really down that much. I've already checked. It's fine. It's not down. I mean, here it is right here. Yeah, maybe it is down that much. But it hasn't traded. There's no trades. That's based on a bid and ask. I mean, that's that's based on it's bid at 20. It's 20-cent spread difference between the bid and ask, but if you wanted to sell it, you'd have to sell it on the bid at 20.02. It closed yesterday. It's not down that much. It's not down that much. All right. I just probably need to take it off there if it trades. It probably trades too infrequently to be on this list. There's days it's been up. Probably it wasn't really up that much either. So I'll take it off. Anyway, 5E looks really good. FE looks really good. T-SPY catching all that upside. XDT catching about 80%. SPY-T catching about 60%. SPY-I catching about half. GPIX catching about 60%. Now look at iSPY catching all that upside, just about. More than any of the other ones. All right, iSPY wins the SPY division. In the Qs division, you got to give it up to KQQQ. But I'm wondering, this thing is always leading a bunch also. And I wonder if it's a wide bid-ask spread also. I may need to take it off also. I don't think it trades. I chose the wrong one. Well, I don't think it trades that. Look at the bid-ask spread. It's $1.50 wide. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the K triple Q. I probably just need to leave the liquid ones on here. I'm going to readjust this. All right. Well, anyway, in the Qs category, looks like triple QT is leading. Just like SPY I led the SPYs, triple QT is the leader of the Qs today. QDTE is just a little bit behind them, so they're both doing well. And then Goldman GPIQ is doing well as well. LFGY is pulling back. This is a mess over here. I mean, it's all over the map. So I guess the Russell isn't participating in the rally as much as the Nasdaq. Look at the Nasdaq face ripping 1.7% up. All right, well, let's look at the buffer report. All right, this looks good. I mean, that it's just because of Misty, and Misty is a huge part of LFGY's portfolio. That's why LFGY is down, and Coney's also a big part of it. Now, granted, the covered call strategy, especially in Coney, is doing way better. The covered call spread strategy is doing way better than just owning the stock, getting a ton of buffer and getting some buffer on Misty also. But be that as it may, the stocks are pulling back, and it's gonna hurt the NAV. This is a big day for Netflix. Murray finally bouncing a little bit. All right, so let's look at charts. I'm going to upload this video. Okay, now this is why I like gaps so much. To me, a gap is like a gap that remains open. It is putting pressure in the market in the direction of that gap. This gap right here put bullish pressure on the market. This gap was putting bearish pressure on the market while it was still around. It got in there and sold off. That was overhead supply. But then yesterday we turned it into resistance, or turned it into support. Supply turns into demand, resistance turns into support sometimes. In any event, then we left behind another gigantic gap. We have 4 bullish gaps. I mean, man, whenever we get in a bad phase when the market's pulling back, I think the other day they just disappeared because we closed them, but we had 3 or 4 bearish gaps on top of this when we were trending down. But in any event, the way I use these is, if you haven't got in on this, either get in as soon as you see a bullish gap in the direction of the gap, or not as soon, but as soon as the gap lasts at least a day. When this gap made it till the end of the day and was still open, buy a call. Or if you don't want to do that, wait for it to get back inside this gap, and then maybe buy a call. Then the next day, if you didn't get one, you could have done the same thing with this gap. You could have said, okay, I'm going to wait and buy one here. Never got back inside. The next one you could have waited. You'd still be waiting. But anyway, it's putting pressure on the market. So that's a good kind of pressure, because for a few weeks it was nothing but bad news. Now it is nothing but good news. We'll look at volatility is trending down and has been, for a while. So that's great. That shows that the hedges are coming off. This is volatility of volatility. Let me turn it back on the 200-day moving average instead of the 20. And you can see we're getting towards the lower part of the range. Last week we were in the higher, for the past few weeks when we were selling off, we were up on the top Bollinger. Now we've reverted to the mean and past it a little bit. So low volatility is good for the market. Now, and also low interest rates are good for the market. This has been the other stressor on the market this winter. This red trend line, interest rates started going up mid-December. But anyway, finally we broke trend and started going down a little bit, and that's helped the market out as well. You can see that when we broke trend on interest rates, the market was right here at 590. And that was also after that first giant gap. So that was 2 signals that the market might want to think about going up for a while. And sure enough, it has. All right, well, that's great. I guess that's great. I'm glad the market's going up for once. NVIDIA, look at NVIDIA up 4%. Let me turn off this bottom. This thing's incredible. But is it going to revert to mean like it did last time? It got up here and it was time to sell it. If you have some NVIDIA, is it time to write a covered call on it? I helped somebody write a 152.5 on it back here, and it almost the day after the announcement, it almost went through the strike, but it never did, and then it pulled back. So, but that option that I helped that person with is going to expire soon, I think this week. So it is time for that person, if they are listening, to write another option, especially because we're all the way up here. Anyway, all right. Or it'd be a good time to do it if you always write calls when it's on the bottom line, and then cover your calls when it's on the, or write them on the top line, try to cover them on the bottom line. Or maybe buy shares or whatever. You could have it. You could use jillions of strategies. If you were trying to accumulate NVIDIA, you could buy when it hit the bottom line, but then sell a call when it hit the top line if you're trying to do an NVIDIA wheel or something. All right. Well, NVIDIA's looking good. Look at Amazon. Look at that. CNBC just said that the SPX was at an all-time high. But Amazon looks big. We're speaking about gap theory. I know this isn't a gap theory lesson, but that gap right there that stayed open till the end of the day, that was the clue that, hey, it's going to go higher. Or it's also a clue that if it gets back into here, there might be buyers here again. And it got back close there. But sure enough, that big gap that's still open has put upwards pressure on the market. It wasn't just that one. There was one open from the day before and one open from 2 days before that. And there's probably a big open gap back here somewhere. In fact, there is. Anyway, it's important to watch those, I think. All right. Well, I'm going to let you guys go. I will talk to you later.